I'm Matthew.
I'm Marty.
I'm Carlos.
And we are the Heroes 3. Welcome again to Heroes 3, the bi-weekly podcast where three friends explore the best, worst, and everything in the world of Asian cinema. And I don't care that I stumbled over my words because this week we're not actually looking at a movie. We're talking something kind of adjacent to it, going to get a little indulgent, but that's okay. This is a little bonus episode, and that is to talk about Carlos's incredible trip to Japan that he got back from just about a week ago now, right?
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. We finished our ninja arc, and I went to the land of ninja.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I definitely can connect what I did to what we cover on the podcast. So I'll talk a little bit about my trip with my wife. Yeah, I hope you enjoy. So I mean, I don't know. Do you guys have any questions right away? Because
I can't wait. Well, I wonder, maybe just setting the stage for anyone listening. Could you talk a little bit about your experience with Japan prior to this trip?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, besides being a lover of the country and its pop culture pretty much all my life, before I even knew the stuff I was enjoying was from that country, I did have the chance to go to Japan in 2008 with a couple of friends. Actually, the benefit of a couple of friends, because one of my buddies offered to pay for my flight there, which was amazing. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. But that trip was just all Tokyo. So it was kind of like, it was cool and I loved it. But it was kind of like I was tagging along with my buddies.
Sure.
And when we went on that trip, I did get to go to the Ghibli Museum in Mitaka outside of Tokyo, which was amazing. And now in Japan, there's actually like a Ghibli theme park, which I didn't go to. And I think it's really cool that it exists. It's kind of not my vibe because it's more like amusement theme park than of focusing on the art and the like history of the studio. But we did a bunch of stuff on that trip, and the experience that I gained on that trip really helped fortify what we were doing this time. So with this trip, my wife and I, we originally were planning on going next year, but you guys know me pretty well, and one of the things that I love is Capcom and Street Fighter and all this stuff. And if you've been listening to podcasts, you understand that as well. But
listen to our intro music.
Yeah. So what's happening right now, and it's just about to wrap up, I think mid-November, end of November, is there's an art exhibit that is being hosted by the Tokiwaso Manga Museum. Now, this is a manga museum that's basically made in tribute to Osamu Tezuka and his compatriots from the time. And basically they have this museum that's pretty much made up to be like the same as the building where Tezuka and his homies were creating stuff in like the Showa era, like the 50s. And so when you enter this museum, it's like you have to take off your shoes. It's like you're entering a home. I'm explaining this. I'm getting a little ahead, but basically what they're doing is they're hosting a collaborative art show with Tezuka Productions and Capcom as a company. So what that means for me is there's original Capcom art on display at this museum for a limited amount of time.
That's so cool.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is actually the second time they've run this exhibit. So they did one at a different location last year. And I don't know if it's going to happen again. I would hope that it would, because I feel so fortunate that I was able to go.
If someone ever needs to trap Carlos, then they'll put it underneath a big box. And
yeah. Yep. So I told my wife, I was like, this show's happening. What if we went this year? And she was down, and I was like, whoa, really? So we kind of hurriedly like planned a trip. And I say that, but we really did a lot of homework, and I usually don't like to plan my trips too much because I kind of like to kind of go with the flow and just find out what's going on.
Yeah, sure.
But because we were going so far, and we're going to kind of, be in a complete other country and language might be a barrier, I wanted to plan our trip more. So we basically mapped out kind of a week and a half of doing things. Yeah, so the first days we were in Tokyo, and one of the kind of bullet points was to check out this art show. So we made our way. We had to take a train, and actually it's like far into like a little residential area of Tokyo, so you kind of have to walk a little ways. So it was kind of a cool little experience getting there because you're not in the hustle and bustle of a city. You're more in like kind of a little neighborhood. I guess if you watch like an anime, I mean, whenever they show like a schoolyard or like a little kind of neighborhood, that's kind of like the vibe that it was like getting there. But when we got there, the museum itself is like on a park. So like there's a special park there, and there's a gate entryway to the park. And there's little like kind of like a little playground, and all of those are Tezuka themed. And there's like a little bathroom, and there's like artwork on the walls there. And there's like a commemorative kind of statue of the place, the Tokiwaso like apartment building, and it's signed by all the members. It was like really cool just to be there. Yeah, and then when you get in, this is like any museum. There's permanent exhibits, and then there's the featured exhibit. And that Capcom show was the featured exhibit. So first we went upstairs, and they have all of the rooms kind of done up like as if it was back in the 50s when they were doing stuff. So there's like a kitchen, and there's like each room is labeled. So you see Osamu Tezuka's room, all these other artists' rooms. So that was really cool. But then little by little, you're seeing more Capcom stuff sprinkled through. So then when you get to the exhibit, outside of the exhibit, there's a huge display with all of the goods. So like it was funny to me, like I've been a fan of this stuff for so long, seeing like all the games and action figures and like little gashapons and stuff, and I'm like, I got a bunch of this stuff.
Wow, so cool.
And even my wife, over the years, she's been a fan of certain stuff. So like she likes Darkstalkers and stuff, and Morrigan's one of her favorite
I was about to say
characters.
she loves Morrigan, right?
Yeah. So there was a lot of figures that she has. Like she's like, oh, cool. I have that and stuff. So that was pretty cool. But there's also like commemorative artworks that different artists did to for the opening of the show. So there's all this like kind of like, I don't know, like a 8x8 like square like paper drawing from like all these artists that I know, like Bengus and Akiman and Kinu Nishimura, these like Capcom artists that I've like worshipped all my life. And like it literally is like that. Like I looked at these drawings and I know these artist styles by heart, and seeing the original art there is just like so cool to me. And that was just outside of the exhibit, that wasn't even in. So then when you go in the exhibit, then they had it was kind of like a zigzagged arrangement, and the first thing that you see are some like the main illustrations from like rival schools, and all of the character portraits from rival schools were there, but they were done in pencil. And seeing like these lines like perfectly lines, wow. Like it was just insane. And as you're so going through, I mean, Darkstalkers is probably like the peak for me. And I got to see the original character portraits from all the Darkstalkers games. I got to see the main illustrations from all the Darkstalkers games. I got to see main illustrations from Cyberbots, Street Fighter 2, like the main image of Street Fighter 2 with Ryu centered, and Chun-Li up with Blanca like biting through the wood, and like seeing that in person is like, it was like, I mean, the only way I can really describe it is like a religious pilgrimage.
Yeah, you were saying that before. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's literally like that. So it was like so crazy just to be in there and see these in person, and seeing this artwork as it is now. Like some of it has aged based on the material it was on, and the colors have faded, and just seeing all of that stuff and noticing different details. Seeing these things in person was just like stunning for me, and I feel so blessed to be able to see that. So that was kind of like the first big Carlos thing. I mean, we did a lot of stuff for Joanna and for me, of course, but I mean, there was a lot. Did
they have any stuff from the Dungeons and Dragons games that they made in the 90s?
They didn't. That would have been amazing, but they didn't have any versus games. So I don't know if it's just because it's an art show, maybe licensing would play into it, but maybe the D&D stuff would fall under a license. But
okay, it's true. I could see that.
They did have artwork from Warzard, which is like a fantasy kind of action game that Capcom released. I don't know if you remember, there's like kind kind of, he looks like a barbarian with a lion's head. He's a Capcom character. His name's Leo.
Yeah.
So I saw all the main illustrations from that game. There's also a really cool ninja in that game to kind of tie it back to our stuff. But
it all comes back to ninjas.
Yeah. I mean, ninjas play a big part of this trip. So yeah, basically that was like my early time. And the other thing that we did while we were in Tokyo, and I also feel really fortunate that we got to do this, is like originally Joanna and I were talking about maybe going to the movies, because it'd be fun to get like the Japanese movie going experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, in Japan, there's Toho, the company we've talked about quite a bit. There is a line of cinema in Tokyo, and I was looking stuff up, and actually like that Joker 2 was it had just come out in the States. And I know Joanna was kind of interested. I was kind of here and there on it, but to go to the movies, it would be worth it to me. But Joker wasn't open yet. It opens later in Japan. But I didn't realize this, but at the time they were running Godzilla versus Biollante.
No. No way.
So there's
Dude, you're kidding.
There's a 4K remaster of Godzilla versus Biollante. Really? Yeah, it hasn't been released on home media yet, and I don't know when that will happen. But
isn't there kind of a weird like custom right now with like some classic Japanese restoration where it's like there'll be a TV broadcast of the 4K, but there's like no way to buy it or something?
We talked a little bit about this on our King Kong versus Godzilla episode. Yeah. So yeah, Toho is just really guarded with their stuff. So and the way that media is released at home in Japan is really weird too. Like if you've ever imported a DVD or a Blu-ray, you'll realize how crazy the prices are, and there's no real reason for it. It's just that's how they treat it in Japan. It's like a more precious item, I guess you could say.
It's honestly maybe a glimpse of where media inflation ought to have gone. I know not everyone's into that idea, but
but
really.
So yeah, the 4K version of King Kong vs. Godzilla had only aired on TV at the time in Japan, and even that Criterion set that got released here, it could have been available to add to the set, but Toho didn't allow it.
Of course.
Which is hilarious. But okay, so that being said, Godzilla Day just passed in Japan. Happy 70th birthday to Godzilla.
Yeah, that's just yesterday, right? And right now, time we're recording, on the 3rd.
Yep. And not only that, but -1 is in theaters now. If you have the chance to go see it and you haven't, you have another chance here in the States. So I saw that it was listed, and I told Joanna, I was like, look, Godzilla vs. Biollante, ? And she was like, yeah, let's go. And I was like, no way. So Joanna and I went to Toho Cinemas in Hibiya section of Tokyo, and we saw Godzilla vs. Biollante. And it was amazing. So the tickets weren't that expensive. I guess they were probably around what you pay here, like $17, $15, depending on the time. They have normal concessions. The one that we went to, it was popcorn and stuff, but they had like little fun additives. So Joanna got like sour cream and onion popcorn, and I got like a truffle butter popcorn.
Ooh.
They were reserved seats, and actually when we went to buy tickets, the theater was almost sold out.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
This was a Wednesday afternoon in Tokyo. And
that rules.
Godzilla vs. Biollante was almost sold out.
That's so cool.
It was awesome. Yep.
Some justice in the world.
Yeah, exactly. So we sat down, and everybody came in. I mean, everybody was super polite. Nobody was making noise. Nobody was barely eating. Joanna actually was not eating her popcorn. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, it's too quiet. I don't want to bother anyone. It was so funny. Throughout the film, nobody on their phones. There was one time when somebody got up. So I don't know. It was just a wonderful experience. I don't know what your movie going experiences are, but I tend to be pretty particular of when I go here. because of the crowds that I'd be around.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a wonderful experience. So okay, moving on. That's just like the beginning of our trip, really. So the other thing that I really was excited to do while we were there was drive a car.
Yeah, I'm super curious to hear about this because, of course, you drive on the other side in Japan. So I'm curious how that worked in addition to the smaller roads.
Yeah, all of that what you said is true. So I rented a car in Tokyo, and we were taking that car and driving out towards Mount Fuji. I love driving, and I pride myself in my driving skills, but having to immediately just like get out of one of the busiest cities in the world in a car and understanding how everything's reversed, but also like just kind of the driving etiquette and the driving habits. I basically had to
signage, everything.
Yeah, all the signage and street lights are different enough that I kind of had to figure that out. And it was like baptized by fire, basically.
How are they? Sorry to get real nitty gritty, but I'm curious.
Okay, well, in the city, all the street lights are like 6 lights, so it's 2 rows of 3, and the top row, the light was just red and it was on the whole time, and I was like, what? So the bottom row is like your green, yellow, red, but also like a turn signal. And I think Joanna can hear me because I hear her laughing. But so the thing about it was, there will be a solid red and an arrow, so you'll know that that's your chance to turn. But also sometimes the arrow is just pointing straight, so you can't turn. You can just go straight, and so you just have to I had to completely reset my instincts when I was driving in Japan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the reverse lanes too. So I kept telling myself left, tight, right, wide, because when you're turning, you have to just be aware, cross traffic. And right when we were getting out of the city, I had picked Joanna up, and we were under like an overpass, and it was a complicated intersection, like 5-way intersection. And I'm sitting at the light. I'm the first car, and I get a solid green. I'm like, okay, I gotta make a left turn. So I make a left turn. But what I did not know is that on the other side of that overpass, it was blocked by like the pillars of the overpass. There was like 3 lanes that also got a green to my left. So I'm turning left, and then I look, and there's like 3 lanes of traffic coming towards me.
Wow.
And they're like, brr, like beeping, and I was like, that was so crazy. Oh man, it was really rough. But anyways, we got out of the city, and I mean, after that, and I got used to it. It was smooth, like we just had to be careful, and I just a lot of country driving, and I mean, one of the things is like, of course, you think of a busy city in Tokyo, but Japan is a huge island, and basically everything is a mountain. So all of the driving that we were doing were like mountain road driving, and it was just like beautiful. It was awesome. Yeah, we stayed one night in Mount Fuji, and that was wonderful. And that was such a wonderful relax day compared to like the kind of hectic city time that we were spending in Tokyo. But after that, we drove from Fuji Yoshida, which was that city near Mount Fuji, out to Kyoto. And on our way there, we stopped in Yokohama, and there's a ramen museum there. And
wow.
that was really cool, because when you go into the ramen museum, there's all this historical stuff, but also there's basically a food court with a bunch of ramen places there. And so we got to eat there. And the food court, that whole area is kind of done up like a historical, like a Showa era city. So when you see pictures of it, it looks like old-timey Japan. And there were some posters up on the wall, and I took some photos of it, but Tomisaburo Wakayama in a movie poster, and
cool,
some like old sci-fi like Earth Defense Force like posters and stuff. So That was pretty cool. So while we were in Kyoto, besides like a lot of the touristy kind of stuff, like we went to Fushimi Inari, which was it's like that shrine that you see with all the red torii gates, like thousands and thousands of them.
Oh yeah, totally. The like Star Fox inspiration.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then the fox is the focal point of that shrine. But that is a huge tourist spot, and I kind of wasn't excited to visit it, but the place we were staying at was literally like minutes away. But one of the things that I found when we were doing our research was that this is like 24/7 open. It's like a park. So I was like, why don't we go there at night? So Joanna and I, it was like 10 p.m. We go to the shrine, and it's lit up, and your path, you're basically hiking up a mountain, and it's literally like, like 20,000 steps. And it was cooler at night, but we were still sweating on our way up. But the thing that was hilarious was one of the things we miscalculated on was at night animals come out.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, that is cool.
I mean, it's cool in theory. I'll bet it's really scary, but
Yeah,
like,
so
it's cool for them.
Yep.
yeah, it's cool to talk about now that you're not out there with wild animals.
Our hike up to Fushimi Inari Shrine was bookended by animal encounters. And the first one was funny because we're walking, and up ahead of us there's a group of young girls that run towards us screaming, and I was like, what's happening? And the girl's like, there's a boar. And sure enough, you can see in the shadows, you can hear Joanna. Do you want to come here? Joanna's gonna join a little bit.
Oh yeah, welcome to the podcast, Joanna.
Please.
Joanna, say hello to the podcast.
Hello, podcast.
Wow.
Hi, Joanna. Wow.
Joanna
Just took
on
7 years, and now we have Joanna on.
Heroes 3.
I'm so scared.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll keep it really quick.
Okay.
Yeah, so we hear these girls, and they all scream, and they come running towards us. And there was a boar, in the shadow, and we can hear it snorting, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So I was like, cool, because it was off in the distance, and I'm like, whatever. But the rest of the hike up, one, I told you, it was kind of excruciating because we're literally climbing up a mountain. But we made it all the way up.
There were signs along the way, too.
Yeah,
warning us about wild boars and monkeys.
Yep.
And to not approach them if you see them, which was terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
So then we were heading down, and we're pretty much all the way down. And then I see this dude, he's kind of hanging out on the side of one of the torii gates. But I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, there's a boar over there. And I was like, what? And then I look like maybe like 15 feet ahead of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a boar, and it was huge. It looked like it had to be at least 200 pounds.
Oof.
And he's snorting his way by the torii gate. And I was like, holy crap. So then we're all quiet. And we actually had to sidle around the outside of the torii gate, so off the beaten path. And it was like totally like we're sneaking past him. And he kept like looking up at us. And I'm like, he knows we're there. We just need to like make sure he doesn't get mad at us. It was crazy. So we did. We got like halfway past him. And then what did he do? He just darted off?
He just ran off.
Yep.
Wow.
So needless to say, that was like our final boss encounter. But yeah, we survived the boar. That was pretty cool. But that was another one of the nights. There were some nights where we were just so tired. We got back to our place and just passed out. Joanna, say bye to the podcast.
Oh. Goodbye, guys.
Oh,
Bye. Thanks for joining. That raises a good question. So you know like a bit of Japanese, and you said you were able to like communicate with pretty well with people and read signs and everything.
Yeah. So all my Japanese that I've studied has just been on my own. So but it's something that I'm really interested in, and I think language in general is something that I just really enjoy. So we had a handful of moments where I had to use my Japanese, and anytime that I wasn't able to completely be successful. I mean, I had it set up so that my phone could assist me too. So, but mostly the whole time, like, language wasn't really getting in the way of our travels. When you're in
That's
Tokyo,
awesome.
the train system, I guess, is the biggest thing. Like, if you need to kind of navigate through the city, everything there, English is readily available. And actually, we had a really great moment where we were trying to get to a restaurant that was actually in Tokyo Station, which is like the main interchange of all the train lines in Tokyo. And that place is insane. No matter what time of day you go there, it's just like millions of people trying to get to where they need to go. And I was trying to navigate, trying to find this restaurant that we wanted to go to, and we really couldn't find it. And a young girl came to us. We didn't ask anyone. This girl came. She's like, "Do you guys need help finding a Japanese girl?" And we're like, "Yeah, we kind of do." And I told her we're looking for this restaurant because Joanna's vegetarian, so we kind of had to kind of find a lot of specialized places. And there's a really good ramen place that had a restaurant in Tokyo Station. And she's like, "Oh yeah, well, my friend is late, so I'll just take you over there." So she walked us over to the restaurant, and it was super nice of her. And she was telling us about her history with English because her English was really strong, and she had spent some time in LA. Anyways, I'm sorry, but yeah, language.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a fun thing. I actually get excited when it becomes a thing that needs to happen. Like, I know a lot of people probably get scared, but for me, I think it's a fun kind of thing because you have special interactions with people, and most of the time, if you're just nice about it, like it turns into a kind of a fun thing. And I have another story with that too. And I'm sorry, this could go on forever, but
no, it's awesome.
Yeah, that was our time in Kyoto. And so with the car in Kyoto, I wanted us to kind of explore outside of Kyoto. So one of the things I wanted to do was check out the Iga-ryu Ninja Museum. Which is about an hour away from Kyoto by car. So we drove out over there, and again, beautiful mountain roads. And actually, we encountered kind of a tourist trap that was really cool. It was basically a garden statue shop, and outside of the front of the shop were thousands of tanuki statues.
Oh, cool!
So many small ones, large ones. There were gigantic ones, like, I don't know, huge statues of a tanuki. And so we stopped in there, and that was the first taste of our ninja stuff because I found there were tanuki ninja statues that you could buy. So we bought one for our house. And I also found like little ninja kind of little touristy things like little magnets. And one of the things that was hilarious that I had to take a picture of, and I ended up buying a bottle, was, okay, so there's the Iga and the Koka, the two different ninja like clans, and there was a bottle of Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was really cool. I bought that. But yeah, so we made it to the Ninja Museum, and this was around 4:00, and they closed at 5, but that was still plenty of time for us to go. And the first thing you do when you enter the museum is you enter a house, like a feudal era house, and it's decked out with all the ninja trapdoors. So you see like the spinning door or the secret floor entrance. There was also a secret panel where ninja weapons were hiding under the floor. And all of the, I guess the museum guides that you see there, everybody's dressed like a ninja, which was really great. Yeah, so there was a young lady that showed us like the different secrets of the place. And then once you get past that, there's a whole exhibit of all the historical items. So it goes through all the historical ninja stuff. And it was kind of cool. It was kind of affirming for me because of all the studying that I did in preparation for the arc. So there was a copy of the Bansenshikai there. There was like a ninja family tree. I took a ton of photos. There was a whole section with like different movie posters talking about the kind of pop culture history of ninja. And the whole time we were there's also like a live show, like an action show.
Oh, fun.
It's definitely like family oriented too. So you could hear it, and it sounded really fun, but we didn't check out the show. But one of the funny things is you were mentioning my Japanese, and my Japanese was good enough to understand an announcement they gave over the PA, and it was basically the ninja star throwing ends at 4:30. So if you'd like to throw ninja stars, make sure you do it now.
Oh, wow.
Which I thought was awesome. That was really cool.
Well, and it must have been good enough for to understand when the girls came screaming about the boar. No,
Those actually. So with the Fushimi Inari Shrine, there's so many tourists, even at night. These people were speaking English.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So besides that, in the area, the other things we did in Kyoto were visit the Arashiyama Monkey Park. That's where all these monkeys are hanging out. That was really fun. We also visited Nara, which has the deer. I don't know if you've seen. There's a park.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures of that.
And that was really fun too, but it was funny because you can buy these biscuits to feed the deer, and the deer they already know that this is a thing.
They know.
And basically, if any of the people around you have this, deer just flock towards you, and it actually became kind of a dangerous situation because they kind of get really needy.
Oh, sure.
So there's some funny moments where Joanna was getting a little worried because the deer are getting a little aggressive, that they wanted their food. Yeah, one was biting at the back of her shirt.
Oh, man.
Yep. So the other thing that happened when we were in Kyoto is so I think you guys both know, of course, but there's a Nintendo museum that just opened up.
Yeah.
And that looks really cool, but I really felt like if we did veer towards something like that, that would take up a whole extra day, and we had already really planned our trip out. So we didn't make it to the museum, but the place we were staying was literally like 5 minutes away from Nintendo's world headquarters, their development headquarters. So of course I had to check that out. And the thing that worked out perfectly was that was the day that I was going to return my car. So I had to fill the gas tank up, and there was a gas station right across the street. So I drove to the gas station, and I was like, "Oh, look." And it's like the Nintendo building.
Yeah, just kind of right there.
Crazy.
You just know that, like, that's where Miyamoto pumps his gas. Wow.
Yeah. So we stopped at a 7-Eleven, which was just across the street from the gas station. And yeah, my buddy, when I posted about this, he was like, like these people probably visited this convenience store. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah, you're totally right. There's no way that hasn't happened over these years. So that was really cool to think about. And I saw the Capcom headquarters too when we were driving from Kyoto to the Iga-ryu Museum, which was crazy. I didn't even expect that. And you just see a big building off the side of the expressway with the Capcom logo. It was surreal.
Wow.
So cool.
So I gave up the car, and then we're taking the train the rest of the trip. And I'll keep this short, but the two last, I guess there's three last big things that we did before we headed back. One, we traveled all the way up to Fukushima, Fukushima City. And the reason that I went there is because there is a UFO museum outside of Fukushima. Yep. So that place has been around since the 70s, and I thought it'd be really cool to check it out. So here's the only time where our trip kind of goofed. And I did the research, I did the homework, but there was something I just didn't understand that I realized too late. The Monday of that week is a holiday called Sports Day in Japan. And a lot of places are closed for the holiday. And I understood that, so I kind of planned around it.
I hope they weren't just like effing with the tourists or something.
Oh yeah, it's Sports Day.
Sports Day. Yeah, no. What I didn't realize is that there are some places that will be open on the holiday, and then will be closed the day after.
One of those situations.
So we got all the way out to this museum, which was far. It was out in the countryside, and the place was closed. So we were like,
that
no.
sucks.
Man, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So it really turned into this kind of wonderful experience where this museum is actually situated at the base of a mountain. And the reason that it's there is because there's UFO activity that's been known to happen.
Oh, cool.
Excuse me. So you can climb up that mountain. This is another hike. We did a lot of hiking, unintentional
Yeah,
hiking.
it sounds like it.
But it was really cool. And we were pretty exhausted getting up there, and it was a warmer day. And again, we see these signs about watch out for snakes, and we're like, oh crap. But no animals, but nobody around. We're completely by ourselves walking up this mountain. It was so interesting. We get up to the top of this hike, and we're sweating, and we're exhausted. And at the top of this mountain, there were 3 old ladies just hanging out.
Amazing.
And I was like, what the? And they were laughing, and they were hanging out and stuff. And of course, we're the only other people around. So they waved at us, and we were looking around. And I told them in Japanese, like, you guys are really strong. And they were like, oh, one of the ladies, she said, Baba Power, which is like old lady power.
Like grandma power.
Yeah, grandma power, which was super nice.
Oh my gosh.
So we had a little back
I
and
dream of
forth.
having Baba power.
Yeah.
That,
And they opened up their snacks and shared their snacks with us.
Oh,
oh, that's so sweet.
It was
dude.
that's
like
so
so
precious.
nice. And they took photos. They like, you want the photo? And they took photos for us. And it was funny. There's a moment where it was like me and Joanna, and the lady told us she's like, get closer, like hug her. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So we're up there, and
Yes, Baba.
yeah, I took pictures of the observatory, the observation deck up there. The ladies like headed down before us. And then I was like, all right, well, we can head down too. And those ladies were outpacing. I'm not a slouch. Like, my job is a physical job. I run around all over the place. Joanna stays in great shape. And these old ladies were like double our speed heading down this mountain.
Wow.
It was amazing. But I wanted to keep tailing them because I didn't want to make sure if they disappeared, if they were aliens or not. Of course, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Right.
And no, they were not aliens, but no, they were super nice, and it was such a sweet interaction that it really kind of lifted us up after being disappointed with that UFO museum being closed. So that was really cool. But the other thing
That's so
about
cool.
it was we were so far out that I was like, there's no like taxis out here. There's no train out here. How are we going to get back? So I was doing some homework, and there was actually a city bus that ran by that UFO museum. And it was like maybe once every hour and a half, and we were just in time to catch one. And so we caught
Oh,
the city
dude.
bus.
Oof.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
And that was a different experience too. So with the city bus, it's almost like more of like a taxi. So you get in the back of the bus and you get a little ticket with a number. And then you see as you're traveling, the further you go, your fare goes up, and you pay when you leave. So that was a really kind of fun and interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
experience. Yeah. And actually the bus stop too. I'll share some, with this episode, I'll share some photos on our blog because I think it would be really fun to kind of match it up with what I'm saying. But
Yeah, absolutely.
the bus stop was like a UFO style bus stop, which is really funny. But yeah, so after that, the next night, we went to Sukagawa, which is a little south of Fukushima. That is the city where Eiji Tsuburaya is from. So the whole city is decked out like Ultraman. So when
Wow.
we
Super cool.
yeah, we took the train, and when you land in Sukagawa with the train, you see banners with Ultraman and the Ultraman monsters. And there's a wonderful thing. It's like sister cities. But in Ultraman, the Ultraman, they're from the world of light. They're from Nebula M78. And it said Sister City, Sukagawa, and Nebula M78, which is so awesome.
That's cute.
And as we're taking the taxi, well, the train station, outside the train station, there's a statue of Ultraman there. And as you're driving into the city, along the street, there are full scale statues of Ultraman and Kaiju from
cool.
Ultraman. the reason that we were there was there's an Eiji Tsuburaya Museum, and the hotel we stayed at was right across the street from it. So we went, and it was cool. It's in this rec center. It's like a 4-floor, like brand new rec center. I think they built it like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And it's at the top floor, and there's little miniatures of all these Godzilla creatures and different like ships and the Maser cannon from Godzilla. All of this stuff's decked out in like it's like an anthropology kind of like you're studying like the nature of it all. So there's books everywhere, and like by the Hedora stuff, there's like slime decals and stuff, like all this stuff to kind of relate like this fantastical stuff to nature and real life, which I thought was so cool. And there's a video that they show only at this museum. So when they were building this, they made a short film of Godzilla attacking the city, Tsukagawa.
Whoa.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So they show this video where it's the making of and then the video itself. So I sat down to watch it because that's the only place in the world you can see this, and it was really cool to see it. And another like sweet moment that I had is there was a daycare where a bunch of little kids were coming out, and they were taking them through, and the museum's free and you can just go there, but they sat down and were watching this video with me and they were cheering for
cute.
Godzilla. I was like, I almost cried.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, so we did that, and then we made our way back to Tokyo for the last day. And that last day we stayed in Shinjuku, an area called Kabukicho. And there's a hotel there. It's called Hotel Gracery. And at this hotel, there's a life-scale Godzilla head at the top of the building, about halfway up. And
super cool.
one of the things you can do, and this is what we did, is we stayed in a Godzilla view room. So this hotel room out our window is Godzilla's head, all huge.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was insane. It was so awesome to be able to do that. And Kabukicho is like a really big party area, and there's lots of great food and lots of stuff going on all night. So yeah, we were doing a lot, and that was all within like maybe a week and a half. And I just feel really fortunate that we were able to do it, and I was able to check out that Capcom art. And Joanna and I were like, we were making amazing race jokes all the time because it was like we packed our
perfect.
itinerary so tight, but we never messed up. We never took a wrong train. We never ended up, forgetting about some. Actually, you know what? When we were in Mount Fuji at that hotel, they gave us like traditional clothes to wear, and while you're in the room, and there were these black pants, but I also had like a pair of black joggers, and I mistakenly left them at the hotel, and I didn't even realize it until like 2 days later. I was looking through my luggage, and Joanna messaged first our Airbnb in Tokyo and then that place, and they had them. They said, yeah, we have them. So they were able to ship them to us. So,
oh, awesome.
Oh, sweet.
yeah. And that was thanks to Joanna's endeavors. So I appreciate it. I'm wearing them right now, actually. That's funny.
Oh, man.
I didn't realize
Perfect.
that. Yep. But yeah, just super awesome. And it really did feel like a kind of a once in a lifetime thing. And all this Heroes 3 nonsense that we've talked about over the years really did inform a lot of the trip. So I really appreciated
it
that.
really
And
sounds like, it's not just that you pack so much in every day in terms of time, but I don't know. I'm amazed at y'all's courage, because it's like you're really putting yourself out there, and yeah, I don't know, in ways that I think most visitors would be like way too scared to try. So.
I always, part of the fun of travel is trying to experience like a different area, different people. And it's, you can't get more out there than, the other side of the world. So it was like really fun. Honestly, I was almost the most excited to just be able to drive and just get lost. And that was just super, super fun. Once I got used to it.
Yeah. Dude, man, well, congrats.
thanks. Of course, some nerdy stuff too. We went to Akihabara, and
Yeah.
Joanna got to check out some fun like K-pop stores. We went to an area called
Oh, cool.
Shin Okubo, which is like a kind of known for its Korean culture there. And at the time, Joanna is a huge BTS fan, and actually, I should have roped her in to this when she was on mic, but that was Jimin's birthday, and Joanna's back.
Wow.
Yeah, come over here.
Didn't he put out a new single like during the same time?
Right before.
Oh,
Hold
right
on.
before. Okay.
All right, Joanna.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Joanna's
All
back.
right.
And when is Jimin's birthday?
October 13th.
And we were there the 14th, right? I think in Shin Okubo. It was right around there, but
It was before.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. And yeah, so we saw all these different places had what, like birthday shrines?
Like little displays. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yep. So Joanna was able to kind of help celebrate Jimin's birthday while we were in Japan. That was awesome.
Dude.
And there was like
perfect.
there was a lot of like bootleg stuff too, which is
Oh,
funny
yeah.
to see.
Oh, I bet.
There was a store that was selling, they're like handle
Pickets. It's image pickets.
image picket, okay.
It looks like a big fan, like hand fan.
But with the face of like
Idols.
different idols. The one thing that was funny though is that one of the ones I noticed was Don Lee, the Korean action star.
Oh yeah.
He was in Train to Busan. He's been in a bunch of stuff, but they had a couple of Don Lee, and actually it was funny. There was a couple of Japanese businessmen that were laughing at it right as I was noticing it too. So that was pretty funny.
Nice.
They bought
is-
one.
Yeah, they bought one. That was pretty
Oh,
cool.
cool.
Yeah, but I mean, while I have you though,
Mm.
like what food was good.
Food was great.
Food was amazing, and it was I hate to be that guy, but it was literally like of a higher quality of food, and the price was cheaper too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that's another part of the timing of your trip because the dollar is so crazy strong right now.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
and tourism has been really crazy, and like when we go to all the kind of big spots, like when we were in Shibuya, there's like the Nintendo store and the Capcom store, and that was super busy, and that was like in the middle of the week.
Did you tell them about Hachi?
Oh yeah. Well, of course we had to check out stuff like that. So we visited the Hachiko statue while we were there,
Oh.
and that was like
Did you pet it?
I put my umbrella over.
yeah, it
him.
was rainy. It was rainy that
Oh,
day,
gotcha.
and that was an area where it was like there was so many tourists. It's right in the Shibuya Scramble, that huge intersection.
Yeah, it's super famous intersection.
And they've been doing construction there, so I had heard that they were gonna move Hachi, but he was in the same spot. But yeah, Joanna
Cool.
protected him for some time while we were there. Wow, Joanna on the podcast. What movie do you want to do next episode?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Anaconda.
What? Okay, all right. This podcast
No,
is
let's
over.
do it.
Thanks
No,
for
it's
joining.
some of the
Joanna.
best snake choreography.
Snake choreography. All right. Nice.
Oh, you want me to leave? Okay, bye.
Bye, Joanna.
Cool. Well, do you have any final things you wanted to do before you wrap it up? Till people are training for next week is.
No, I was rambling a lot, and it went longer.
Oh,
of
no, it
course,
was
than we
super
wanted it
interesting.
to.
It's all good.
Yeah, it was awesome. Feel
Awesome.
Very fortunate.
Sweet.
Well, thanks so much for sharing all that with us. That really is super interesting. And all of that really is stuff I kind of like been wanting. I had honestly kind of wanting Carlos to just dump all of the cool stuff that he did on his trip.
Totally.
So I'm glad we get to do it and to share with the fine folks out in the audience. So, well, if you enjoyed us, normally we talk about movies. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads. We're at Heroes, the #3 podcast on all of those. And we are finishing up the year. So, Carlos, you had a cool idea for what our final arc for the year will be to wrap everything up.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy. Like last year, we're gonna do omakase, chef's choice. And I will start us off on this finale. And I want us to talk about the 1995 animated film Memories.
Yeah.
This is a big one for me. It's an anthology film, sci-fi anthology. And I just am super, super excited for you guys to witness this film.
Yeah, we've been
Dude,
talking about that
cannot
for
wait.
a long time, so it'll be cool to finally do this on the podcast. Well, until next week, we're taking a look at memories. I'm Matthew.
I'm Marty.
I'm Carlos.
And we are the Heroes 3. Remember your training. Heroes 3 is part of the Mercado Brothers Podcast Network.